obviously the title of the show for tonight is a big one, trying to get off the ground and get boosted right off the hop and get people in here. But I'm trying to figure out how to approach this topic. But I will say that the other day I had the pleasure of watching a few of these guys at the top end of draft lists with Mr. AJ Jadero for his sort of unbiased, neutral take on these things. And I tried to be neutral. I tried to be as quiet. I tried to be as quiet as I could about my own thoughts and feelings about these things and these players and all of that stuff.
You did.
We both watched Gavin McKenna. And
I didn't particularly enjoy my time watching him. That's not a knock against the dude, all right?
Unbelievably talented player, though. Like, unbelievably talented.
Here's what I will say about Gavin McKenna. I think Gavin McKenna has the gifted kid problem. You know those kids you go to school with, they get put in the class that's like, it's the gifted class, right?
Child prodigies,
Yeah, so much of what he does is talent dependent. He's been praised for all the talent he has because he's got a tremendous amount of talent, but he really relies on it to do anything. It's just like some of the decisions are mystifying because it's just like, oh, let's make somebody look silly because I've got all this skill. Undeniably super talented, but he's not in the mold of a player that I love because he's not like going around the ice trying to get the puck back. Wasn't particularly fast either. Not a high-paced player. He kind of reminds me of Connor Bedard, but not speedy, and that has like a bit of a worse profile to an extent. Yeah, like where do you land on this? Because you're the guy that people actually want to hear from.
So I mean, I would say going back to the WHL playoffs last year, like that's around when I started to sort of go, all right, like I should probably gain a little bit more serious familiarity with some of these guys that are for next season. And, the things were winding down for the 2025 class. And so I started, at the top with all the guys that everybody is really, really intrigued by. And I mean, rightfully so. I think almost all of them, there's an argument behind, I'd say, everything that's out there about people having certain guys in certain ranges at the top end. But the thing about Gavin McKenna, AJ and I usually agree on everything with this kind of thing. Not everything, but a lot, I'd say. A lot. And I think that the thing about him is I agree. I think that there is a tremendous amount of talent, and he, in terms of just pure skill and creativity in conjunction, like one, and if you're talking XY graph, unbelievable, right? And so the question for me becomes, how far is that going to take him? I think that a thing that people pick up on when they watch hockey players over the years, in the NHL especially, like NHL fans, like people who don't really pay attention to the draft, they just sort of, they follow their team over the years and they get excited about the young guys they get. I think a thing people start to notice over the years is that lack of off-puck energy and that sort of reliance on talent that can sometimes wear itself out over time. I mean, I have a more positive view of him, I think, than AJ does. Like, he's still very, 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 very high on my list. But there's, I think, a learning curve for him. I will be very curious to see how this season goes for him. And it's not just going to be about points, right? I think on a team like Penn State, he's going to be put in a position to score a lot, right? I don't think point production is really going to be an issue because he's got the skill to, if you trot him out there on a power play 2 minutes a night, he's going to put up some production, right? It's just all the pieces are there. It's the moments like skating over the offensive blue line, trying to deke the pants off of a winger who's pinching up on you, you cough it up, puck comes the other way and you stop moving your feet. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing that Gavin McKenna, in my viewings, has done a lot. The sort of back-checking effort, sort of really running play himself is a bit of a hit or miss thing.
Yeah.
The guy that he kind of reminds me of is Kent Johnson. Like there's that high skill, but maybe not the pace and the quickness and the reliability. I think there's
also not a lot of urgency in his game either. Well,
right? That's the kind of thing I'm concerned about, is like the reliability in his game, I think, can be really sketchy. And if I'm an NHL team and I'm drafting a potentially elite level player, like shift on shift reliability is something that I really need to see, especially if it's a matter of like, I'm down by a goal in the third period or I'm up by a goal in the third period. If you're going to be out there in those situations, I need to be able to rely on you and know what I'm going to get out of you. And with McKenna, there are areas where I definitely can see what you're getting. The skill level, there are times when he uses his brain very, very quickly to make a play and it works and it's beautiful.
And it's awesome when that happens.
He's going to have highlights out the wazoo this year, right? It's going to happen. I mean, I don't I don't think maybe there's an adjustment period getting to the NCAA, and it's a little more physical and it's faster, and the NCAA this year will be better with the influx of CHL players. So that might be a thing, but he's in a great scenario. He's in a great situation, surrounded on a really good team with tons and tons of resources at Penn State. I think for me, it's not a matter so much of him like not being any good, but I think it is a matter of this year's draft being pretty darn solid looking, and based on the work I've done so far, it's exciting. I think this is an exciting year. I think there's a lot of good players available in multiple areas of the world. It's not just, the WHL class is really good or the OHL class is really good. There's good players, I think, in a lot of different areas of the world that you can maybe take a look at. I feel like that this year's draft is a little bit more similar to, maybe not in terms of overall talent and depth and such, but something like a 2021. I mean, for that season, Owen Power, by and large, for a lot of people, was the number one guy, I believe. I'd have to look at my archive from that year.
He was.
I think at the time, I know for a fact at the time I thought this, there were like 9 or 10 guys that all were really hard to sort of order and pick apart and decide who is the superior one to whom, because they all kind of brought different things. But you look back on that group of 10 at the top end of the draft, the Power, the Beniers, the Gunther, the Grant Clark, even Eklund, like they all have their things that they bring to an NHL lineup nowadays, and they all have things that I think they're still working on. I don't think any of these players has really truly run away with I am the best player to come out of that draft class. So for me, I think this year's draft is a little bit like that, where McKenna is a major part of that really, really high-end group. But I feel like, especially considering there are some 08s who don't have the same level of experience at the WHL level that McKenna has had, the luxury of that, I think, on a team as good as Medicine Hat has been, especially last season. I think there's a lot going on there that I think there is a discussion to be had, that there might be other players that bring a lot that may very well, I think, in some people's minds, give him competition. But for me, already, I think I'm seeing players that are bringing more on a consistent basis to this point. Now, McKenna hasn't played a game yet this season, so that has to be said.
Yep.
But in general, the guys that I've seen, based on what I have seen of McKenna, I think there's at least a couple of guys that I've enjoyed watching more and I feel are more reliable and projectable to how fast, and at sometimes I don't mean simple as if the NHL is bad, but sometimes creativity in the NHL is just unnecessary. We've seen that with Florida, right? Like, I mean, Florida has some skilled players on it, but like their style is, and I'm not trying to say we should emulate Florida no matter what, but this is the way they won, is a lot of just heavy pressure, quick forechecks, quick passing plays. You look at the Washington Capitals last year. It wasn't necessarily super high skill and creative hockey players. It's just guys who played a really good sort of structured type of hockey that really gelled with guys of all different kinds of players. It just seemed like they were a well-coached and organized organization out there, which is great. There's different ways to do it. Yeah. But I think that the sport, it's, you said this in the prep before the show, right? Like, it's a team sport, and sometimes unreliability can really sink a shift or a period or whatever. I mean, look, I think that looking back on a Connor Bedard from 2023, I watched him, and I think again, I'm not just patting myself on the back, but I was one of the few people who looked at the data that I had on him and looked at him as a player and said there might be growing pains here for him as an NHL player, because the NHL doesn't operate like how Connor Bedard operates, which is give me the puck, I will do everything and get it in the offensive zone, and I'm just going to shoot it more than anybody else, get my own rebounds and send pucks to the middle and try to set up my line mates, and I'll shoot from the goal line if I have to. I'm just going to go. And you look at sort of the spray charts of where Bedard is shooting from. His defensive game at that age was not very good, and it's still in the NHL is not great. He is, I don't know. I always felt my thing with him was always, I want him on the wing. My whole thing with him forever was, I want a really good sort of two-way center who can get him the puck to do the dirty work and let Connor Bedard sort of fly a little more in the offensive direction and do all those things. So it's not a matter of the talent not being there, right? Like, it's a matter of like how it's used. I think a player who kind of had a similar thing at that age was like a William Nylander, where there's this like, and a lot of Toronto Maple Leafs, to be perfectly honest, when they were really young. I think a big reason Toronto kind of struggles in the playoffs is because there's this like hyper talented group of players. What happens when the opponent wants to crush you. It's like, I may not be as skilled, I may not be as quick, I may not be as agile, I may not have the crossover ability that you have, but if you give me an inch, I will rip your head off. And I think that's the thing that is an adjustment for a lot of players, and I think that's why we see a lot of players come out of the woodwork in the playoffs and show themselves as more valuable than maybe they are, because there's that extra, right, hard work pays off.
Outworks talent. That is
a lot of the time it does.
And you can believe me if you want to, but I was told I was a very smart child and I was punching below my weight because I would just rely on my ability to be smart and figure out
the same until I was 16.
Yeah, right. I didn't learn how to study as a kid. I didn't learn how to I didn't have good habits, and it's hard to develop good habits when you're super talented and you're praised for being insanely talented because you just rely on that more. It's like, oh, I'm being rewarded for doing this thing. People are telling me I'm this great at this one skill. And you just lean into it further as opposed to diversifying. Like, I don't hate Gavin McKenna, okay? I really don't. I think he's awesome at times. He's just incredibly frustrating because there's this lane of space that he can go right into. He can, like, kind of drive into. Instead, he just does a skill move, slows down, and he holds onto the puck way too long. This guy is going to have to learn how to move the puck faster because you don't have 7 seconds on the puck in the NHL on average. You have maybe 3 seconds at most sometimes. Depends on the play, but it's like when you're under pressure, you don't have 7 seconds.
Well, goalies are going to adjust and defensive structures are going to adjust. Like, they're going to know.
And that's what I think you meant by simple, right? Like, you can't hold on to the puck for too long because otherwise it's just like everybody can converge on your position and you get closed in on, and it's harder to get rid of it when you have it for so long. So
the toolkit, like the toolbox is there. That's
absolutely
the thing, right? The toolbox is there. It's just going to be a matter of like growth, adapting in his game. I will be very, very curious to see how this year
and getting
goes.
Faster, I think too, and
that would help. That would help. And luckily, he's not like 5'8", right? Like, this is a 6 foot tall guy, and there's I think there's a really impressive guy here. But the thing here is he also kind of checks a lot of boxes for me that, like, I feel like NHL teams should be a little spooked by this guy. Like, it seems like the discussion is like, I mean, we put the quote from Elite Prospects in the thumbnail, but like, it's like, if you don't have them at 1, you're looking for attention. And it's like, I don't know about that. Like, it feels like NHL teams, maybe they have some people on the staff kind of questioning it a little bit. I don't know if that's true. I think there is a lot more evidence of stuff that, like, I feel like NHL teams should be a little spooked about. He's a winger. He's really slender. Maybe that's changed in the off season. I don't know. I don't think he's been weighed in officially and posted what he is now at Penn State yet. Like, there's a lot of things about his game. There's a lot of skill and there's a lot of finesse and creativity, but like the application of it is really mixed, and he's had some really mystifying moments, and like he kind of can play with a quick pace of play sometimes, and other times he kind of just like plays on his own and just kind of wings, like he plays like he wings it a lot. And I don't know, if you want to wing it in the NHL, like, you got to be one of the best players in the world.
You can't do it consistently though.
And I don't know if you do it consistently, right? Like,
there's no way you can do it consistently because you have to have multiple tools that you can go to, different things that you can pull out, because that'll make you more deceptive. It'll be harder for teams to pick up on what you're going to do. But McKenna, it's pretty simple most of the time. It's, I'm going to do something to make you look silly, and I'm either going to look silly or you're going to look silly.